Hi guys, it's Jess here with our first worksheet for the Anxiety Talk series that we're doing with youth services. So our first worksheet here is just 3 questions, and it is simply a personal reflection. So a personal reflection is really important to do no matter where you're at in the anxiety journey or just understanding anxiety alone. What we did was just broke it down with things that we find important to realize as you start with this series. So our first one is, what is your definition of anxiety, or how would you define anxiety if you were talking to someone else? So if someone asked you, oh, what's anxiety? How would you define it? What would your answer be? This is a really good starting point, as you just saw with our first video of Diane and I. That's how we introduced it, with our definition of what it means to us. And our hope is that throughout the series you can see that definition applied, or you can see that definition transition. So with your own definition, you can do the same thing. Our second question here is, where and when does anxiety come up in your life? So in asking this question, I want you guys to take at least 1 minute, just set a timer for at least 1 minute, and write down times in which anxiety come up in your life. Now, this is different for all of us. So for some of you, you can write down times where you're feeling anxious, or others write down times where the word anxiety comes up. Think of if it comes up in conversation, if it comes up in TV shows, if you read about it. It's really just reflection, right? So personal reflection. Think of when anxiety comes up in your life. I would probably describe, my personal reflection would be describing times that make me anxious. So it would be in, let's see, now this is a poor example. It could be talking in front of large groups of people. It could be stuck in traffic. It could be when I'm in somewhere really tall. I do not like tall heights. So take that minute and write it down, like I said up here on the top of our worksheet. I always recommend writing things down. For me, writing things down kind of helped me feel accountable, I guess. It kind of processes things in my mind to see them writing down, and it helps me actually take time to think about it. It's not just, oh, yep, thought about it, blah, blah, blah. So if you can, print the paper out, write it down, take the minute for yourself, right? This is all for you and to better yourself. Anyways, number 3 on our first personal reflection worksheet, how would you describe your relationship with anxiety? So the whole point of this series is to analyze your perception of anxiety, to maybe transform your perception of anxiety. So in order to start that transformation, or to better that understanding, you need to know your starting point with anxiety. So for question 2, you talked about times that anxiety comes up in your life. Think about those times and think about, how are you when anxiety comes around? Is it uncomfortable? Is it comfortable? Would you say positive or negative? It could be even, are you open to talking about anxiety, or do you close off the second anxiety comes up in your life or in conversation, etc., etc. So that's all. I don't want to be too directional here, because personal reflections are flexible, and this whole series, excuse me, is flexible and open, and it's just a learning experience. So, like I said, take the time. Please take the time for yourself. Take the time to fill out the worksheet, and I really hope that it's helpful and that it's useful. Stay tuned.